Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Anne-Marie DiGregoria. Thank you for joining. I am going to speak very briefly today about gluten because so many times people are like, well, why can't I eat gluten anymore? I hear that it's a thing. I don't know what it means and I really don't feel like changing. Why do I have to do that? And I have been there too because I come from an Italian background and carbs was a staple in pretty much every single meal that we had. So I get it. Been there, done that. I also had really an amazing experience when I eliminated it from my diet. Oh God, over a decade ago, I guess, or about a decade ago. And I had a really major change in my body happen, and it was pretty powerful. So that's a story for definitely for another day. But I want to answer the question of why not gluten. So bread has not been, it's not made the way it used to be made, 2,000 years ago. When Jesus walked the earth and everybody broke bread, it's not the same. It doesn't taste the same. It was back then. It was very hard. It was very nutrient dense. It had to be to sustain them at that time, but now it's stripped down to the core and it's changed at a molecular level, and that is not safe. It's not compatible with the body. It's not recognized for the body. It's not safe for the body. So some things that have happened over this period of time, and I would say mainly in the past, 70 plus years. And I think Dr. William Davis, he wrote Wheat Belly. What a great book if you haven't been able to read it. But I'm just going to kind of summarize a little bit of it here today. But I highly suggest reading that because it really will help you understand the triggered insulin cycles in the body, what happens, why that causes visceral fat around the stomach, and an increased appetite because it's all a chemical reaction that takes place in this vicious cycle. Insulin resistance, certainly high cholesterol has been attributed and proven in his book, as he is a cardiologist, as well as many different illnesses and ailments being brought back to gluten. Gluten was changed, and I guess in the mid 80s, probably in a major way. When we were growing up, a lot of us who were watching this probably around my age and older, where eating healthy grains was really important and popular, and that said, there was a lot of agriculture scientists that were changing this again at a molecular level and genetically modifying them. And the purpose of that and the reason why, well, one was to feed the world. That was one concept. And the other thing is to make them drought resistant to fungus, resistant to bugs, to pathogens, and the like, and to make their cycle shorter. It's always about that, making, from a bottom line standpoint, making it turn over quickly, covered in fertilizers and pesticides, and again, man-made, not using the earth to do that or to help, but just they wanted a higher yield. And that, unfortunately, has created mutant strains and dwarf wheat. So now we have these short, things, I guess we can call wheat, that is resistant to cold and drought and anything else I just mentioned before. It's not supposed to be that way. It's not recognized. So some of the things, and I just didn't want to forget anything, so I wrote them down here, but some concerns is, one is it's highly digestible starch, and it spikes your blood sugar. The way it's created, it spikes your blood sugar and thus your insulin, and you don't want that because that affects your endocrine system. It's part of your endocrine system, and you don't want to do that. The endocrine system is very affected, and so that's one thing. It contributes to, of course, insulin resistance, and as I just mentioned, visceral fat around the belly area, hence the name Wheat Belly. It can affect and cause major reactions to hormones. As I mentioned, your endocrine system is very responsive in a negative way many times to gluten. I think a lot of people, they can even test for gluten, and what the people that I work with, whether they test that they have an issue with gluten or they don't. The truth is, you really don't know unless you do the work and take it out. And you know what? I always say, and you're always going to hear me say this, why eat anything covered in pesticides? It's sprayed again, and it's sprayed again. And why are you ingesting that? Like, we should all care about what we're putting in our body. Because what we put in is going to be reflective and it's going to come out. And that goes from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, what we look like on the inside and on the outside, and I can't help it because it really, truly is my favorite topic, is a spiritual way as well. But that's a whole nother day to talk about that. It causes inflammation. So that's a big thing. It really causes the inflammatory alarms to go off in your body and the diseases. It acts as an opiate. Yes, it does. There's a great, I think he explains it in his book, there's a, at the NIH, there was a woman who did this experiment where she proves how gluten can cross the blood-brain barrier, and that is something that you don't want. You don't want gluten to go over into your blood-brain barrier or those proteins. So that's not good. It stimulates the appetite. It really does. It really does. I had one client recently. I was so happy. She had said to me, I gave up gluten and I feel so free. And I was like so moved by that, because that was very, very true. It contributes to addictive cravings, again, back to that cycle. It destroys the intestines. It really does. It smothers it, and it destroys the intestines. And, you know, I'll get into that another day about what that means, and from a biological standpoint, what that means, and a chemical standpoint. And you really don't know what it really means to you until you remove it. So I highly suggest give yourself 2 weeks and do that. And what to substitute with. So it's quinoa. Quinoa is a great substitute. Brown rice, cooked the right way. Paleo people, don't be mad at me. And millet are some great substitutions. You have to be careful about gluten-free stuff. It really is a marketing. It's a platform for marketing, because there's a whole nother bunch of stuff that can start to go in that can definitely affect you. You have to be careful. But I do suggest going as low in grains as possible and go as high into more healthy fats, proteins, and vegetables, of course. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this. Please like, share. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and go to my Facebook page and like that. And if you would like to meet with me or speak to me, you can reach me at balanced4lifenutrition.com, balancedforlifenutrition.com, or foodasthymedicine.com. Okay, thank you. Take care.